Black Talk Radio Network is made possible in part with help from the Black Talk Media Project, a North Carolina-based nonprofit engaged in the production and distribution of independent digital black media. Find out more by going to blacktalkradionetwork.com or blacktalkmediaproject.org and look for the menu tab, Crowdfunding Black Media. Black Talk Media Project, helping to provide you with new black media for the new millennium. And opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Welcome in to the Mind, Body, and Spirit Radio Show tonight. It is June the 21st, 2017, and we are live and kicking it up in here. Namaste, Featherlight. How are you?
Namaste, Black Rose. I'm splendid. Picking it up here in Houston, H-Town.
Yes. And speaking of H-Town, please, everybody, send out your prayers and well wishes that this tropical storm Cindy does not flood us out like the crazy flood we had here in Houston last April. Oh, my goodness. Please don't flood us out. Galveston was on a voluntary evacuation yesterday. And I have really, really been wanting to move to Galveston Island because that's one of my goals, to live on an island. And since I'm so close to Galveston, that's a okay first start. Not that I get in the water in Galveston. I don't swim in the water because it's the Gulf. But just to be on the beach, near a beach, I think would just be absolutely wonderful. I love water. Water is therapeutic. I love being near a beach.
It is.
I love to be on a nice, beautiful, tropical beach with pristine waters, but that's not the case so much in Galveston. However, there's some really, really, really pretty, pleasant and peaceful areas in Galveston. And also, Galveston now has that gambling boat. I'm like, what's his name? That was on Eddie Murphy's movie Life. Do they have gambling? So Galveston has this gambling boat. And I am looking forward to do they have gambling? Yeah, so I'm looking forward to going on that little gambling boat, going to gamble on that little boat. Just really walk around, really. I don't do a whole lot of gambling. I used to gamble, though. I used to play poker, craps, blackjack, all of that. You know, it's just all in fun. I've never been one of those ones to take my bill money and all that down there.
Oh, no.
Sit there and look depressed because I spent my light bill money and all of that stuff like people do. I spent my light bill money. I can't go home.
Go back down there and get it.
Yeah, I'm going to go back down there and get it. I knew a young lady, speaking of gambling, she was always quite lucky. Well, you know, people always say they're lucky. I mean, but she would win like thousands of dollars, and she'd go right back the next day. The next day and blow it, and then win again. And she had a little gambling problem, though. So if you do have a gambling problem, Call Gamblers Anonymous and get yourself some help. Don't just throw your money away like that. It's cool to gamble.
Oh, you know what? I worked at when I worked at Harris Casino, public relations. One of my directors was over security, right? He was a VP of security. And he got this letter from this lady who had, sounded like she had a situation like the way you're talking about. She had lost so much money. She lost money, her rent. She's lost just regular stuff, the rent and, telephone, stuff like that. But I think that it had gotten so bad that she was about to lose her home. And it was really, really serious. And she was asking for help. She was asking them to help her out because she lost all of her money at Harris Casino. And they'd already, when you lose so much and it's a problem, they block you. They say, no, you can't come in here anymore,
Yeah.
And the letter was so pathetic. I mean, it was just sad. And it was nothing that they could do because I guess they get that all the time, Well,
yeah,
it was my first time hearing something like that, a plea to the casino to help her because her gambling had gotten totally out of control. And it was absolutely, he did some little letter I had to send out, and it was like, I'm sorry. I mean, these are some places where you can go to get some help. But gotta live with that.
Yeah, what they do is when you have that type of gambling addiction, you can have your name placed on a list because you're addicted, just like a drug addict. And so, like what happened with this young lady, the one you're speaking of, and also the one I'm speaking on in particular, she had her name placed on a list. So if she walked into any casino in the country, her face was recognized through their facial recognition system, and then they would escort her out because they just had no control over it, just like a drug addict. So, yeah, you have your name placed on their list, and I think that's just so sad because I remember living in Memphis, Tennessee, when the casinos first came to Mississippi, in Tunica, Mississippi. People in that area were not familiar with being so close to a casino. I mean, of course, people had probably ventured out to Vegas, some people. But a lot of people in that area, they were in, like, what was that, Sugar Ditch, Mississippi? Remember, Sugar Ditch was at one time infamously known as, like, the poorest county in the country. And so all of a sudden these people, not only do they have, like, a fairly decent job or a job status or employment, but they had this access to gambling, and so many people lives were just torn by this gambling addiction. And I remember we used to hear about a lot of suicides and marriages being dismantled, all because of gambling. So if you have that gambling addiction, then get some help. Please get some help. Call Gamblers Anonymous. We just went all off on a tangent on that gambling thing, didn't it?
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. Well, that's what mind, body, and spirit is all about. That's right. Somebody may need some help. They may have needed to hear this message, and that's why this message is being shared tonight, just like the message that we will share tonight. We are picking back up on colorism and barriers for women of color. So this is part 2 of our show. We're talking about the colorism and the
You
black
are really
community.
breaking up. I hope that I'm not breaking up like that.
Oh, gosh, I hope. I don't know what that is all about. I really do not. I don't know. It could be the weather here because I had trouble with my GPS earlier. It's pretty windy here in Houston right now, so we're just hoping that we don't get too flooded out here. Not too much rain, but we're talking about colorism and what black women experience with colorism, light-skinned women or dark-skinned women, and how men play a part in that whole factor. We talked about on the previous Colorism show how some men prefer lighter skin tone women. Some men do appreciate the beauty of a dark-skinned woman. But I know growing up, and I know in your generation, Featherlight, light skin was seen as more acceptable. More avenues were opened for a lighter skinned woman or man. And we also read a stat that lighter skinned women and men tend to earn 10 to 20% more than their darker skinned brothers and sisters. And that came from colorismhealing.org, colorismhealing.org. You can check out that website. And so we want to talk about how that affects the black community, as well as some of the barriers that black women face in America in regards to beauty standards, because, we face a lot of scrutiny, a lot of double standards as being black women, and we always have to temper ourselves and not portray ourselves as the angry black woman, and we have to be so meek and mild, and if we voice our opinion, then we're seen as being loud and too black and too boisterous. So that can really, really, really damage a person, because if you have to hold back and constrain yourself all the time, then you're not really able to express yourself and be free. And that's just not the way that a person should live their life. You should be able to be free and express yourself. I mean, have a filter, but I'm speaking about being able to just live your life and be free and view yourself as beautiful, not because society tells you that because of your skin tone you're ugly, or what is it? You're not as beautiful as the next person because their skin tone is lighter than the paper bag. And we talked about the paper bag test as well, being able to pass the paper bag test. So we're going to dig a little bit more into colorism part 2. And also, I'm really looking forward to having Raven Farrell come on. She is going to call in, and we'll just have a brief chat with her. Raven Farrell is the young lady that played the role of Tupac's sister in the movie All Eyes on Me. If you have not seen that movie, I truly enjoyed the movie All Eyes on Me. I am a major Tupac fan, major Tupac fan. Love Tupac. We talked about Tupac last week. And so Raven will join us tonight for a brief interview, just talking about her role in that movie. What did you think about the film All Eyes on Me, Featherlight?
Oh, my gosh, it was... can't find the words for it. It was really... I went into the theater because I love Tupac too. You know, I'm not as big a fan as you are because you came up in your era. But I knew where he was coming from. He was coming from a different place than the other rappers that I, had heard. And man, so I didn't want to go into the movie theater thinking, oh, this is going to be great. This is, I just went in thinking, whatever it is, it is. But I was so impressed. I was so impressed with the acting by the young man who played Tupac. I mean, you could tell he really, really, really studied. He studied him.
He had his cadences and his mannerisms down to me. I thought the young man did a great job in playing that role of Tupac. And I've been hearing so many people speaking about not going to see the movie because his mom, Afeni Shakur, didn't support it, and John Singleton said this and that, and then 50 Cent had to throw his 50 pennies in what he thought of his 5 nipples. So a bit in. I'm like, dude, I mean, really, I'm not even going to get started on 50 Cent, and that's a whole nother story. I'm just not even going to give him time of day on Mind, Body, and Spirit.
It's amazing how we tear down each other when someone attempts to do something.
Yes.
We tear each other down so badly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you don't like the movie, don't try to discourage other people. People were talking about the movie, hadn't even seen it.
Haven't even seen the movie and complaining about it. I mean, complaining. If you're a real fan of Tupac, then you wouldn't go see it. You wouldn't support it. Well, I mean, you can go see it just even to give your critique on it. Write an article about it. Like what I was telling people, I've been going back and forth, something I generally don't do quite often, but I've been going back and forth with people commenting. It was this one particular video clip about the movie. And, I mean, I began to realize, like, yesterday, because I went to see the movie opening night, I began to realize yesterday a lot of these comments are coming from what we call agent provocateurs, okay? You just out here engaging in hyperbole. You don't know what you're talking about. You're being disruptive. And what I noticed is, to me, it's like whenever there's a black movie in particular with a revolutionary character like Nat Turner, it was the same controversy. I'm not going to see it. I'm not going. That Tupac movie showed Tupac growing up with his Panther mother, Panther family, standing up for the people, being down for the people, and being down for what's right. I guess people wanted to see more thugging and more thug passion. I guess that's what they wanted to see in the movie. I'm only guessing because I don't understand what was so horrible about the movie. What was so horrible about it? But I've heard many people say that it was a great movie also. I liked it because, like I said, it was about Tupac. I was going to go see it regardless. And if somebody else produces another Tupac film, I'll go see that one too. But like I was telling people, first of all, number A, like my friend, number A, okay, number A, if you don't like that film, then why don't you produce one? Okay, you can get your little iPhone, produce a movie, load it up on YouTube, since you hate this one so darn much. And then let me get on little Miss Jada Pinkett, who was my girl. You still my girl, Jada. You still my girl, but you about to lose that black card. If you keep coming out like you've been coming out lately, you're about to lose this black card that you have, because Jada Pinkett started all of this mess, I believe, when she started talking about the misrepresentation of her relationship with Tupac and all of this and that. And me and Tupac never did get into an argument in the club and this, and this. And he didn't read that letter to me in person. I didn't read that letter until after he passed, and it was in the book. Okay, Jada, that's all fine and well. All biopics are not exactly accurate, as we can see. We know this. They're not exactly accurate.
Right.
People complained about why didn't they reach out to Jada. From what I understand, they did reach out to Jada. In fact, the young lady, Kat Graham, that played Jada, she was in contact with Jada, but from her interview, Kat Graham said that she didn't speak to Jada. Jada didn't return the phone call until after they filmed. That's number B. Okay? Yeah. And letter 3, Jada and Will, they have Overbrook Entertainment Production Company. If you were so upset about this All Eyes on Me movie, you could have produced a Tupac film 20 years ago, 19 years ago. Okay, we'll give you 15, 5 years after the man died. You could have produced that film. You could have produced it 10 years ago, because you had Overbrook 10 years ago. So why are you complaining, Jada? And I like you, girl. You know, you all right. I've been down with Jada since, what's that, A Different World. I knew the girl was a star. When I saw her walk on the set on A Different Star, I called it then, because I knew she was a star and had I called it then. I knew it. But her and Will could have produced this Tupac film 10 years ago. So really, Jada, I think that you shouldn't really be saying anything about any inaccuracies in the movie, or complaining, rather. You can speak about the inaccuracies. That's fine. That's your business. But, I mean, Jada, I don't understand why you couldn't produce it. I really don't. I really don't see why. And see, that goes back to what Aunt Viv said when she came out and made the comment about how Jada and Will are, when Jada was complaining about Will not winning an Oscar, being nominated for the Oscar, and they were boycotting the Oscars. See, like she said, they have a production company, but they're not trying to uplift other black actors and actresses and thespians. They only produce films for their friends. They don't try to sit here and, produce the film on Tupac or Nat Turner or Harriet Tubman. I mean, we can go down the line. They could be producing all kinds of biopics and films. But have they? Not really. Not really. I mean, this is your best friend. I mean, who
right.
a better Tupac film than Jada Pinkett Smith? Give me a break. Have a seat, Jada. Have a seat. Just like 50. Like somebody said, 50, you can have 50 seats. Really. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that one. You have any comments?
Well, I also heard that during the shooting of the film, the young lady who played Jada's role, she did not hear from Jada until the filming was over. So she had opportunity to give her input as to, her role. I mean, maybe she didn't like the way they portrayed her when she came into the club. Maybe she could have said, well, I didn't really, could you kind of change it up a little bit, or give it this some kind of input, or help the lady play her role. I mean, that's the least she could have done. But from what I understand, she was not available. So what can you say?
What can you say? Or better yet, Jada, to make it a hot film, a super hit, why couldn't you play that little miniature role that she had in there? Jada could have Jada could have played her own self. There were other people that played themselves in that film. Jada could have played herself. Right. Cat Graham didn't have that many scenes. So, I mean, Jesus, she could have played that role. Oh, God, black folks. My goodness. That tripped me out. It was a great film. I loved it. Go see it.
Me too.
Mhm.
I'm ready to see it again. Actually,
I'm waiting on it again. Hurry up and come out on Fire Stick so I can watch it.
Now, one other thing I noticed is that the theater was so quiet and they were so boring. I mean, all those songs that he was playing, I was rocking in my seat like,
yeah, I wanted to jump up and dance. I was like, yeah. And I said, oh, my goodness. They'll probably say, look at this old lady jumping up, dancing. I mean, I was like, y'all so dull up in this movie theater. This is Tupac's film. What's up? Raise the roof.
Yeah.
Come on now. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too fly for everybody. I'm just too fly. I'm too hype. I guess I'm just too hype. I
was going to enjoy myself.
Me too.
Music come on, and I feel it. I move.
Hell yeah, Tupac. Come on, man. I love me some Tupac. Shoot, All Eyes on Me. Tupac. So we'll have Raven Farrell join us tonight to talk about her role, and we're also going to play our interview from Yahara St. She's an author. This is another brilliant author. I think she's written like 25 books, and so I interviewed her about her new book called Chasing Heart. And then we also, of course, will have our African Spirit segment, and we are honoring Assata Shakur tonight, and I thought it was appropriate to honor Assata Shakur because of not only the Tupac movie that was recently released, but also Donald Trump made this statement that he wants Cuba to surrender Assata Shakur. Hands off of Assata. Leave her alone. My goodness. Give me a break.
It's been over 20 years. Leave it alone.
Leave that grandmother alone. Let her live her life, and you live yours. Go on, my God. So we're honoring Assata Shakur tonight. I love her too. Another revolutionary Spirit, Sister Asata Shakur. You can send your letters to Mind, Body, and Spirit Radio Show if you have comments or questions about life, your spiritual journey, health, relationships, career, love, sex, all of that. You can send your letters to us at mindbodyspiritradioshow@gmail.com. That's mindbodyspiritradioshow@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And last week we had author Rob Aqua on here in Aqua. Rob Aqua, author of Death of the Dead. And I enjoyed him. We'll have him come back on. He's written a book on depression and anxiety and dealing with depression and anxiety in the Black community, how we deal with it. We didn't get a chance to go as deep as I wanted to, so we asked him if he could just return and we can dig a little deep and unpack that topic more and have him read more of his words from his book, Death of the Dead, his poetry from Death of the Dead. Really great book, really, really, really good book. You should definitely check him out. So, Further Light, this is June, and June is a celebratory month here in Houston, Texas, and Galveston in particular because of Juneteenth. And Juneteenth is also known as Juneteenth Independence Day or Freedom Day, and it's a holiday that commemorates the June 19th, 1865 announcement of the abolition of slavery in the United States, in the U.S. state of Texas, on paper, that is, and on paper, let's be clear, in terms of ending slavery, because we know our brothers and sisters that are incarcerated are still working as slaves. They are enslaved. Let's see, it's celebrated June 19th. There was celebrations all over the city and in Galveston this past week, and continuing on throughout the rest of this month. And let's see, Juneteenth is recognized as a state holiday or a special day of observance in 45 states. And some of the traditions include public readings of the Emancipation Proclamation, singing traditional songs, and readings by noted African-American writers such as Ralph. Yes, dancing. Ralph Ellison wrote a book, Juneteenth. And I've actually gone to that site where General Granger read the proclamation in Galveston. It's a historic site. And, and they have parades, rodeos, street fairs. Some people recognize Juneteenth as like the Black Independence Day. So many people have begun to celebrate Juneteenth in that way. Now, although most slaves lived in rural areas, more than 1,000 resided in both Galveston and Houston by 1860, with several hundred in other large towns. But by 1865, there were an estimated 250,000 enslaved people in Texas. As news of the end of the war moved slowly, it did not reach Texas until May 1865. General Gordon Granger arrived at Galveston Island with 2,000 federal troops to occupy Texas on behalf of the federal government. On June 19th, standing on the balcony of Galveston's Ashton Villa, and you can actually book a room at Ashton Villa for bread and breakfast. But Granger, and there's a huge statue of him. I took a picture in front of that statue also. Granger read aloud the contents of the General Order Number 3, announcing the total emancipation of the enslaved population, again, on paper. And, I've heard stories that one reason why it took so long for the news to arrive in Texas is because many of the people that came to bring the news, they were often killed so that they would not make it to certain areas to inform people that they were now emancipated. So you can look up more history about Juneteenth, celebrated on June 19th. All right. Satellite, you have a quote for us? Satellite, you have a quote for us?
Oh, yes. I was on mute. I had to talk. Okay. Yes, I do, Mike. All right. The quote for this week is, sometimes the place where you are used to, let me read that again. I got interrupted. Sometimes the place where you are used to is not where you belong. You belong where you believe you belong. Where is that for you? Ask yourself, where is that for you?
Where you belong?
We get so used to being in a certain situation or doing the mundane grind of every day. We forget what we wanted at one time in life. And we get to the point where we just accept whatever comes. We just get up, brush your teeth, wash your face, put on clothes, go to work, hate it, drive home in terrible traffic, and get home, watch a little TV, clean up, eat dinner, go to bed, and do the same thing. And you have nothing that you're actually shooting for, because you've gotten caught in the grind, and if you can't see it, how can you strive for it? How can you shoot for it if you don't see it? No. So that's what I got out of that quote. I thought it made me think. It made me think. This with what is his name? Annie. What's the guy's name that played in Annie?
Jamie Foxx.
Black guy. Yeah, Jamie Foxx. So Jamie Foxx was singing this song in Annie, and he said, you forget. Remember what you wanted. Yes. Remember what you wanted. When you, way back then, remember what you wanted? Did you forget what you wanted? Did you forget to go for it? I started thinking about that. That's a good point to think. So that is my quote for today.
Don't forget that you are the master of your destiny. You control your destiny. You control your life. It is your show, your play. You decide on the scenes, the actors, the script. It's your play. It's your play. And you're in the spotlight. And don't let anybody take control of your play, of your show.
Right.
It's your life.
Right.
It's your life. Mm-hmm. So often, and I've been a victim of it as well, so often we allow people to wrap us up in their whirlwind, in their life. And it's not that they do this maliciously or anything like that, deliberately trying to distract you. It's just that people care about themselves and their lives.
They do.
They put themselves first. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. They just put themselves first.
Right.
It's self-preservation. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you just have to remember, put yourself first.
Right. Exactly.
Help others, do for others, all of that. But remember that your needs are a priority.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, your needs are a priority.
Caught up in someone else's element, out of your element into someone else's element, and they're
into someone
pushing you every which way,
every
That's about
way.
your own thing.
Speaking of which, well, not speaking of which, I do want to go ahead on and speak on this tragic news today in the music world, with this being African American Music Appreciation Month this June. Prodigy, the rapper Prodigy, who made up one half of the group Mobb Deep, has died at the age of 42. Younger than me. Died at the age of 42. He was born November 2nd, 1974, in Hempstead, New York. He died in Las Vegas. His actual name, his birth name is Albert Johnson. His parents, Bud Johnson and Fatima Frances Collins. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about Prodigy. I was a fan of the song Quiet Storm. It's the real hip-hop, hip-hop, hip-hop. That song had such a dope beat. I really did like that song. Still do. I mean, sometimes it's on my workout playlist, actually. But Prodigy, he was, as I mentioned, a part of Mobb Deep. And his great-great-grandfather, William Jefferson White, founded Georgia's Morehouse College in the basement of his Baptist church. And this hip-hop icon came from a musical family. His grandfather, Albert Bud Johnson, was a saxophonist and a clarinetist for Billie Holiday, Duke Ellington, Dizzy Gillespie, Count Basie, and Benny Goodman. I did not know that.
Yeah. Wow.
His great-uncle was also, let me just read that again. His grandfather, Albert Bud Johnson, was a saxophonist, a clarinetist for Billie Holiday, Duke Ellington, Dizzy Gillespie, Count Basie, and Benny Goodman. His great-uncle was also prominent during the bebop era of jazz, and his mother was talented. She was a member of the 1960s vocal group, The Crystals. Now, Prodigy Albert Johnson was on tour in Las Vegas performing with the Art of Rap tour alongside Ghostface Killah, Onyx, KRS-One, and Ice-T, amongst others. And so Prodigy suffered from health issues most of his life, and they said he had long suffered from sickle cell anemia. And let's see here. So he had some complications after they performed, and he died. I was like, when I saw that come up on my news feed, I think it was last night. Was it last night or this night? Anyway, maybe in the middle of the morning, middle of the night, who knows. But I was like, man, the brother was young. I kind of like Prodigy. I mean, I didn't really listen to a lot of their music, but I did like that song, Quiet Storm. I did. I really did. But something else that I found out in reading about Prodigy, also Rolling Stone said that Mobb Deep's music was raw, vivid, and vicious. Prodigy in 2016, last year, published a book called Commissary Kitchen, My Infamous Prison Cookbook. So he wrote this book which contained recipes and stories about the food he experienced while in prison. I'm going to have to get that book because, you know, we're working on a cookbook. So rest in power, Prodigy. We enjoyed you while we had you here with us, and my condolences to his family, Prodigy of Mobb Deep. Let's see here. Is this Raven?
Yes.
Welcome in, Raven. How are you, dear?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for calling in. This is the Raven Farrell, who is a superstar that has just recently played in the film All Eyes on Me, a biopic on the life of Tupac Amaru Shakur. And you had the honor of playing in this film alongside Demetrius Shipp, and you portrayed Tupac's sister. How in the world was that? How did you land that role?
I'm actually landed the role just like I would any other project. From auditioning and getting called back, the only thing was that it took a little longer because they had things going on, with the film and everything. So, during the time that I auditioned for it and actually booked it, it was like a few months process. But yeah, I got called in for it, and I kind of when I originally auditioned, I kind of I didn't feel anything special, as if I booked it, officially or anything, until I had a dream about it, and then once I had the dream about it, I kind of figured that it was Mom's. That's when I got called back a week after I had a dream about it, and then after that, it's I officially booked it.
Excellent. Well, I want to talk more about the film, but now your name is Raven Simone, just like Raven Simone, the other actress. And so did your mom, when she gave you that name at birth, did she know that you would be a star? Because not only have you been in the All Eyes on Me film, but you've also had roles in Greenleaf, Star. You've been in other films as well. Talk to us about having the namesake Raven Simone, and did your mom just have a feeling that you would be this great star?
I think it was more so hoping that I would. When Raven Simone was on the Cosby's when she was younger,
yes,
that's actually where she got the name from. She actually her character actually reminded my mom of my oldest sister, and that's what grabbed her attention for it. And then, once I ended up being born, she she named me after her, and it just so happened that I started to take after her in the acting field. So.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, Raven Simone, she was quite popular on the Cosby Show. I mean, she was just the cutest little girl. I mean, we all fell in love with her like we fell in love with Rudy. And I tell you, seeing you on Greenleaf, I said, oh, my goodness, when I went back to look at that particular episode, I said, yes, that's Raven Farrell. And people, you can follow Raven Farrell on Twitter. You can follow her on the Twitters and keep up with what she has going on, different projects. And I think Feather Light has a couple of questions for you also.
Okay. Well, hi, Raven. Congratulations.
Hey, how are you? Thank you.
I enjoyed watching you in the movie, Tupac Over. I went to the night, and I was looking for you, and there you were. Okay, so tell us about your journey from Cincinnati, Ohio. It's sort of a challenging early life, an extraordinary transition to a star, working on the Oprah production Greenleaf and Lee Daniels movie Star. So that's a journey. Kind of tell us how challenging that was for you.
Yeah, when I was about 18, my mom actually came out here with me for the first 2 months that I decided to come out here. And then, she actually had to go back to Cincinnati, Ohio. So, it was literally I was out here. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to say out here, I mean Atlanta, Georgia. But I was out here, for a long time on my own, and it wasn't until I entered my first relationship to where, I actually felt like, okay, I actually know people here, whatever the case may be. So that was a struggle because I felt like a lot of the times I kind of felt lonely, but I honestly feel like that alone, yeah. But I feel like that alone, is what made me, get into acting more and more. Is
think we lost you, Raven. I think we're having an interruption. Can you hear us, Raven?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, now we can. So you were saying being in Atlanta and being alone and somewhat on your own, that kind of gave you the motivation to pursue acting more?
Yeah, well, it was the fact that it was the only time where I was able to express like certain things that I was feeling at the time, just growing up and everything. I feel like a lot of things that I was going through, I had to kind of confine everything because, I didn't want people to view me in a certain way. So it's like I wasn't really expressing the emotions that I wanted to express like on an everyday basis. But when I would act, like whenever I would feel something to where I felt like I needed to express, I would call my coaches and be like, okay, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. Is there a scene that, I can possibly like perform that will allow me to express these emotions? You know what I'm saying? And if it is, we'll talk about it before I would do the scene. And then I actually do the scene, and after I did the scene, I was completely okay. So it was like it became an outlet for a second, and that's when I realized that it was something that I needed to do as a career.
Oh, wow, excellent. That was my dream to pursue acting, but my dad was like, nope, you're going to college. At that time, acting, like a young black person going into acting, just randomly going into acting. And I lived in Memphis, so we didn't have acting schools or anything like that in Memphis. So it was just like really a far-fetched dream unless I was ready to pack up my bags and move to California. So you leaving Cincinnati, Ohio, and going to Atlanta, Georgia to pursue this career, I have to commend you on that because not everybody can do it, because I felt like I couldn't do it once I graduated from school. And that's what I wanted to do. When I finished high school, I wanted to pack my bags and move to California, and I did not. So big ups to you, Raven, for pursuing that dream, really. Not everyone can do it. But let me ask you this. Now, you were born a year after Tupac passed. You were born in, you were born a year before he passed. A year before he passed. You were born in 1995, right? If you don't mind me telling your age.
Yes,
okay.
No.
Okay, so how did you become familiar with Tupac's music and his life so that you can prepare yourself for playing the role of his sister? Did you have to watch interviews or documentaries on Tupac? How did you prepare yourself?
As far as being a fan of his art, that was just already a done deal. I was already a fan of Tupac, of who he was, but when it came to booking the role, I actually had to get more into, his sister. I played Sexual Shakur, by the way. I don't know if I said that. But, with her, it was more so like she was super low-key. So I kind of had to watch, like, the same things over and over again, in order to gather the information that I did have, as well as talking to the executive producer, L.T. Hutton. And then it was like after doing that, and then on top of, just reading the script and getting a sense of who she was, it was like she was kind of the same person that I was, so it was easier to go ahead and connect to it, to the role, and just, be able to express the certain things that she felt. Because, like I said, it was like I was reading and acting out, things that I had went through myself at an earlier age.
Yeah, now that was my next question, just asking you, could you, see any similarities in his sister's life and your life, and did that help you with the role? And it seems like it pretty much did, because you could kind of relate to some of her experiences. Is that correct?
Yes. I definitely could see, similarities between between us. Just the whole situation, on how they grew up, and just how important the sibling bond was when it came to them, and that sense of independent of, of your intermediate family, like all of that. I actually went through that myself. My mom was a single parent of 6. So it's like a lot of times she wasn't home because she worked 2 jobs. She worked a night job and a morning and a day job. So it was like, as far as just like cooking dinner and this, that, and third, it was just like we did that for each other. We did that for each other, and it wasn't because, she made us do that. It was just like it's what we was forced to do because in order to maintain our life and help her out, it's like that's just what we had to do. So I definitely understood a lot of things and a lot of the reasons why they went through what they went through as far as each other.
Yeah, I can see that. Many of us have to grow up like that, just taking care of siblings, having to take care of each other. I don't have any siblings, but I did grow up with an aunt that is 3 years older than I am, and we pretty much grew up like siblings as well as my cousins. So I know about that, cooking for each other and sharing a meal together while your parents or grandparents are away at work or something like that. So yeah, I can see that. Light.
Yeah. So Raven, how is it trying to balance school and acting? How do you balance that?
Well, it didn't necessarily become an issue until this semester for the most part. Usually, because a lot of times I get an audition the day before or the day of, and then, I have to miss class, and I talk to my professors, and it's like usually they'll go ahead and work it out with me, so I won't be too behind. But this semester I actually went to LA for a month and a half, and some of my professors are lenient with it, and they're like, as long as I'm turning in the papers and everything on Georgia's time frame, then it's like, okay, cool, long as I'm keeping up with myself. Others are more so like, well, regardless, attendance is mandatory, so it's like I automatic fail if I don't participate in class, physically. So there was a few classes I actually had to withdraw out of this semester, so it kind of set me back a little bit. So this upcoming fall semester is I got a boatload of classes that I got to take. But like I said, it just really depends on the professors. Some, some work with me and some don't. And it's just, I got to take it. And I have to figure out, what's the best route for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's challenging in itself. What are you studying?
Mass media communications.
Excellent. Love it. And I think Light had another question for you.
Yes, for those out there listening who have this dream, this desire, like Black Rose, to become an actress, do you have any suggestions for them? They're interested in acting? That you learn?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Way?
Yeah, there's 3 things that I personally go by when it comes to really with any career. It's not just acting. It's faith, dedication, and persistence. I feel like if you lack one of those, it's kind of hard to be successful in whatever field you may be in. And if you do have all those 3 things, and it's just it's easier to have a more positive mindset. It's like we face so much rejection when it comes to the entertainment business, because obviously there's a lot of us out there that want to do, that want to act, or, there's a lot of auditions we go on, and I probably go on about 10, 15 auditions a month, and I've only booked 8 projects. So that just gives you a sense of, how many times I get rejected. And you just got to know, you got to just be understanding of your purpose in life and what you feel like your purpose, on this earth is. And you got to know that as long as you put in as much work that you could put in, everything else is out of control. You just got to let it go. And that's just the sense of just, like I said, just having a real strong positive mindset, because it's easy for your self-esteem to get knocked down super quick. I know I was like that when I first started, as far as just taking acting on as a full-blown career. It's I would go on these auditions and I would feel like I did good, and then I didn't. But I'm just what am I doing wrong, But there's been times I didn't get cast for something because I'm short or because I'm black, It's just that's how it goes. You know, a lot of things we got to control. The only thing we have control over is our talent. So you just really got to know that, and you really got to stick to it.
You really have to have your confidence. You have to believe in yourself, and I like what you said about having the faith for sure. Now, you spoke on sometimes you were rejected for a particular role or just were not selected for a particular role. Do you feel that black actresses have more challenges when it comes to landing roles in Hollywood these days?
I do, because I feel like when these breakdowns come through, and the breakdown is basically just like a description of a character, and it's like it's very rare that it's like 17-year-old African American. It's either open ethnicity or it's Caucasian. So it's like it's never a time to. I mean, it is sometimes where they're strictly looking for, you know what I'm saying, African American actors, but it's just like if it's not strictly Caucasian, then it's like it's all races and all ethnicities. So it's kind of opening up now though. It's opening up now, especially like in Atlanta, just as far as just like you know what I'm saying, black projects. And the thing is, like, we have a smaller community, but it's stronger. So it's like these. I was going in for, you know, a project recently, and it's like 2 or 3 of the people who was on this project was on All Eyes on Me project. So it's just like it's easier to form relationships with these producers and casting directors of these, but it's also like we don't have that many.
Well, Raven, we know that you have to go, and we sure thank you so much for your time. How can people follow you, and are there any upcoming projects that you'd like to let us know about?
Yeah, definitely. As far as upcoming projects, I have stuff in the works right now, but I haven't, you know what I'm saying, officially booked anything. But you can always keep up with me at Raven Farrell on all social media. That's RAYVEN, F as in Frank, ERRELL. And just make sure you keep up with me. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll be able to see, you know, whenever I officially book something else. That's one way I do announce it, is my social media.
Oh, great, then. Well, I am following you, and we hope to have you back to talk about any upcoming projects that you have.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. You did excellent in the film, baby girl. We love you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, peace and good night.
Alrighty, good night.
And that was Raven Farrell from the All Eyes on Me Tupac film. And if you, like I said, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. You just heard from Raven Farrell. You can follow her on Twitter at Raven Farrell, and that's Raven with RAYVEN Farrell, FERRELL. Check her out on Greenleaf. Check her out on Star. She is an up-and-coming, rising, shining star. You're tuned in to the Mind, Body, and Spirit radio show. We will take a break, and we will be back after this break.
2008, the Black Talk Media Project launched the digital radio platform Black Talk Radio Network, the first such platform created to serve the black community specifically. Black Talk Radio Network has grown with a variety of radio hosts, digital radio stations, and podcasters. Web analytics say Black Talk Radio, the platform, has an online reach that ranks it among the top independent black media platforms in the world. All of this is possible because of financial contributions to the nonprofit Black Talk Media Project. If you love the work we do and the voices and perspectives we bring to you every day, make a donation today to ensure that Black Talk Radio is here in the future. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
All right, and we're back here at the Mind, Body, and Spirit radio show. We just spoke with Raven Farrell, the sister who portrayed Tupac Shakur's sister in the new film All Eyes on Me. You can follow her on Twitter, Raven Farrell. Now, let me just speak on this case quickly, and then I do want to play this clip from Philando Castile's mother, Valerie. But before we go into that case, in Seattle, 2 white Seattle law enforcement officers opened fire on a pregnant black mother by the name of Shalina Lyles this past Sunday morning, killing the 30-year-old in front of her children. She is reported to have called police to report a burglary. And, of course, instead of them assisting her, she was shot. And I read that she was supposed to have had some mental issues. She was listed as a person that had been, I believe the police had been out to her home before for a mental crisis. Just thinking about this case, it just breaks my heart, because I remember joking about how, like, if we call the police for help, if we call them about our cat being stuck in the tree, then the police will come to us and tell us that's not your cat and shoot us and the cat. But we see that it's really not a joke. This type of stuff happens quite often. It's not an anomaly. So my condolences go out to Shalina Lyles' family. And she was actually in transitional housing for homeless families. And so that's just heartbreaking. That's really, really heartbreaking. And so many people are suffering from mental illnesses. And living in this world, in this day, it's enough to drive you crazy. It's enough to make you have a breakdown, to cause you to have a breakdown. And again, if you are experiencing difficulties like that, which it seems like this woman had sought the help that she was in need of, she was in transitional housing, and then to have something like this happen, it's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. Also, what is tragic is the fact that this cop that shot Philando Castile, we all remember seeing the video, his girlfriend, I believe her name was Diamond, she live streamed him being shot as he was reaching for his driver's license, and he did inform the officer that he was in possession of a gun. He was licensed to carry. The NRA has not spoken up about this. I haven't heard them speak up about how this man's Second Amendment rights were violated by him having a gun. He was legally able to carry this gun, and this officer shot him because he was in fear of his so-called life and all of this stuff, which we always hear. And I'm just going to say this, and then we want to hear this clip, because I really want to play this clip, because I'm always chastising these other families that try to tell everybody, be calm and be peaceful, and you know, we don't want you to do anything in his name because he was peaceful and she was peaceful and all that, which I'm not saying go, you know, tear the city up and all of this. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, how can we continue to be peaceful when no one is peaceful with us? And I'm just sick and tired of this rhetoric about police officers being fearful of their life, because, number one, I am not pursuing any career that's dangerous. I can remember when my father, who retired as a police chief, was trying to encourage me to become a firefighter. I told him, no, thank you. No, thank you, because I'm afraid of fires. I don't want to go into a burning house and try to put out a fire. I don't want to do that. And I remember he was friends with police officers because quite often they work in conjunction, go on the same 911 calls and all that. So he knew police officers who he told me, oh, you could easily get on at the police department and blah, blah, blah. I'm not policing anybody. I don't believe in all of that. So I'm not policing anybody. Who am I to police somebody? I'm not policing anybody. I'm policing my own life. Okay. So anyway, so I'm not. I said all of that to say, and with that said, I'm not pursuing any career that I know is dangerous. Okay. So for all of these cops that are constantly shooting people, saying that they were in fear for your life, you're in the wrong profession. You are in the wrong profession. You need to go sit behind a desk. If you that goddamn scary, go sit behind a desk somewhere like other people do. Nobody told you to go and take that job. Nobody forced you to apply to be a police officer. You applied for that job because you couldn't find anything else. That's why you applied for it, most of them. You couldn't find any other occupation. We already know that. So now you want to go be a police officer, and then you're afraid and scared, so you say. But, I mean, if you read Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's book, she explains this, why these people fear for their lives when they see a black man in particular. So if we could play that clip from Philando's mother after the jury
give my thanks to John Troy and the prosecutor's office. They did a great job in the representation of the facts in this manner in which my son was murdered. And I will continue to say murdered, because where in this planet do you tell the truth and you be honest and you still be murdered by the police of Minnesota while you have your seatbelt on and you're in a company with a woman and a child? My son would never jeopardize anyone else's life by trying to pull a gun on an officer and the gun was not fire ready. These are some of the facts that came out in the trial, and I am so very, 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 very disappointed in the system here in the state of Minnesota, because nowhere in the world do you die from being honest and telling the truth. Now, these are some things that you need to know and recognize. There has always been a systemic problem in the state of Minnesota, and me thinking with my common sense that we would get justice in this case. But nevertheless, it never seems to fail us. The system continues to fail black people, and they will continue to fail you all. Like I said, because this happened with Philando, when they get done with us, they're coming from you, for you, and all your interracial children. Y'all are next. And you'll be standing up here fighting for justice just as well as I am. I am so disappointed in the state of Minnesota. My son loved this state. He had one tattoo on his body, and it was of the Twin Cities, the state of Minnesota with TC on it. My son loved this city, and this city killed my son, and the murderer gets away. Are you kidding me right now? We're not evolving as a civilization. We're devolving. We have taken steps forward. People have died for us to have these rights, and now we're devolving. We're going back down to 1969. Damn! What is it going to take? I'm mad as hell right now. Yes, I am. My firstborn one son died here in Minnesota. Under the circumstances, just because he was a police officer, that makes it okay. Oh, now they got free reign. He's found innocent on all counts. He's shot into a car with no regard to human life, and that's okay. Thank you, Minnesota. Thank you, Minnesota. That's all I have to say.
My name is Alize Castile, and I am Philando Castile's little sister.
I'm 24 years old. We're 10 years apart. I never really have talked throughout this whole year and throughout this whole process of everything that has happened because I get very emotional when it comes to my brother. But the system really is wrong, and they really failed us. They really failed us once again because my brother was a good man. You never even heard him raise his voice. You never even heard him yell. And for that man to get on the stand and lie, he got caught in 3, 4, 5 different lies. You seen the gun? The gun was in his pocket. Y'all the reporters, y'all wrote up all this stuff, so y'all know what was said. And for them jurors to not have enough human empathy and a conscience to just do the right thing, that just baffles me. That just baffles me. Was it in his pocket, or was it in his hand? Or did it fall out? Or like the paramedic, y'all patted him down and y'all found it in his pocket. I know my brother. My brother would never, ever put Diamond in danger or Dayan in danger because he loved that little girl. And he loved this state, and I'm really just so hurt because he took away something so precious from me. That was my brother, that was my mentor, that was my father figure, that was everything. That man worked hard every single day, every birthday, every Christmas. He was the one that made sure I had a gift. He didn't deserve to die the way he did. And I will never have faith in this system. I will never have faith in this system. I will never have faith in this system.
One thing else I have to say is Yanez may have gotten away with justice on this plane of existence. He will not get away with divine justice. He has to answer to someone bigger than all of us. We're just here. We're just going through this human experience. He will have to face his creator, and I hope he die tonight.
All right, and that was Philando Castile's mother, Valerie, and you could hear the anger and the hurt and the pain in her voice during that interview. My condolences go out to his family. Oh, my God, I just don't even know what that would feel like, having someone to take your child's life in such a vicious and inhumane way. What I appreciated what she said, though, was how these people will come for you and your little interracial children, because in Minnesota, they have a ton of interracial relationships. Not that I'm against interracial relationships, but quite often, that's a whole other show in and of itself. Quite often, when people are of quote-unquote mixed races, they kind of feel like they're not a part of a certain community, so certain things don't affect them or impact them as they would black people or our community. And so I think that was very important the way she pointed that out, because that's the issue there in Minnesota, these interracial relationships. You have a lot of men, just like in St. Louis, you have a lot of these brothers that refuse to date black women. And if you remember that the video with Philando, that sister he was with was black. Her and the little girl. So, Philando Castile, rest in peace, my brother. Featherlight, any comments on this Philando Castile case?
I did want to. I'm still feeling her pain.
Yeah.
But her sister, no, the sister mentioned something that Scotty mentioned in his take on this, is not only the system, but I mean, you've got 12 jurors, and all of them were white. You had some non-whites, but 2 of them, I believe. And for all of them to just totally agree to totally remove all guilt, seeing evidence and seeing what happened, it is just like, it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable, and it's some of us. It's some of us. You know, you get on a jury and you don't hold out for the truth, for what's right. Just go along. I don't see that. I don't see that. I've been called twice to be on the jury, and when they call me, I go. I go. But it's just
and there were I think there were 2 black people that were part of the jury with this case also. So it's just a travesty of justice, though, because when they do look at the when they're viewing these cases, the information that's presented to them, it's pretty much about the officers. From my understanding, it's about the officers' safety, which I understand. We want everybody to be safe, and there are people that may be fearful for their lives because they are in dangerous situations. Again, that's why I say, if you're fearful, that's not the occupation for you, because that's a dangerous occupation. But it's not the most dangerous occupation. It is not listed as the most dangerous.
Firefighter is more dangerous. It's been proven to be a firefighter. Yeah.
Oh my God, my dad used to talk about all the stories.
Yes, he fell through the floor, a burning floor. He could have been killed.
And you're actually going in to save somebody's property or their lives when you're a firefighter versus coming into a community as an occupying force, as some cops behave. Now, I know we have some good cops. We understand that, and I don't even know why we always have to justify all of that. But those good cops do need to speak out against some of the actions of some of these dangerous predators. Really, really, you do. So I think we need to go ahead on and get into our colorism topic, because I know people are anxious to hear us speak about colorism. If I could just lead into our colorism topic just by speaking on, once again, we have black women disparaging a sister because of her hair. So there's this Victoria's Secret model named Zuri Tibby, and she models for Victoria's Secret pink line. And the pink line is the line for, like, teenagers. And so they primarily model, like, the teenage line of workout clothes and underwear. So this beautiful, beautiful young girl, dark-skinned, beautiful little sister, Zuri Tibby. So there's this picture, and she's modeling some workout clothes. And so do you know, Featherlight, that black women were actually complaining about her edges not being laid down? And so, and okay, for people that don't know about edges are our edges around the perimeter of our hair. And when you relax your hair, that's the first place where the new growth begins to show. And so we used to be very concerned about our edges. So when you see that little kinky curly hair coming up, it's like, ooh, it's time for that relaxer, right? So people were saying, oh, Victoria's Secret should have laid her edges down. Why they had this little sister looking a mess like that? Ooh, they could have done something about her hair. First of all, the little girl was modeling workout clothes. I don't know who goes to the gym with their hair perfect. A lot of black women have not been active in going to the gym because of this kind of stupid crap, worrying about their hair. How many times have we heard black women say, well, I can't go to the gym because I'm going to sweat out my hair, my edges are going to be messed up, and all of this kind of stuff, which this again plays into what we're talking about tonight, colorism, and all the different barriers that we as black women have to face, all the struggles and the trauma about our hair and the way we look and all this nonsense that we have to deal with from people. And it's just hurtful because, what's her name, Gabby Douglas, the gymnast, Olympic gold medal winning Gabby Douglas. it was black women then that came out, oh, her hair. Ooh, look at her hair. Ooh, she should have did something with her hair. The girl too busy winning gold medals at the Olympics, doggone it.
Right.
Just like this little sister. It was a workout ad. Your hair it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be a little tousled when you're working out. That's common because you're working out. So maybe it was going along with the whole portrayal of working out. I don't know. Even if it wasn't, I mean, it was nothing really wrong with her hair. Not really. To me, it looked like somebody that was working out. But the point is, this whole deal about your hair having to be so perfect, and that is that's the pressure that we put on each other and that people put on us about being so perfect. We have to, as black women, be so perfect. And not only in the eyes of our black brothers and society, but us, women, we put each other down.
Yes.
And to me, I said, that is just horrible to put that young lady down like that and just complaining about her edges. So that's something that, gosh, I hope that we can overcome that and just embrace each other, just whatever your hair looks like.
Yes. I mean, it's an accomplishment to be black and to be a Victoria's Secret model, because for so long they did not have any black women Victoria's Secret models. They didn't have them so long. I remember when they just kind of gradually, and they had to be very, 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 very light, before they were actually chosen to be a Victoria's Secret model. And for us to be so down on each other, and it's just it's also it's women, but it's also us as a people. Whenever one of us tries to do something, it's like climbing out of the crap out. Come on back down here with us. You think you're this, and you think you're that. You think you're better than us. Let me find something that I can on, because you're not perfect. We have got to get away from that. Oh, my goodness. What's her last name again so I can look her up?
Her name is Zuri, Zuri Tibby, Tibby. Zuri Tibby. And so that plays into the whole American beauty standards. I mean, we have to have our hair perfect. Edges have to be laid. I mean, like if you go into any of the beauty supply stores, you see a preponderance of all of these edges creams and edges gels to lay your edges down and all of this. So we have to be so perfect. And some people may say, oh, it's superficial. You don't have to be this perfect, and you don't have to. Yes, we do, because guess what? When you don't, this is what happens. This is what happens. You hear all of this silly mess. And it's stupid, and it's pathetic, and we need to quit it, and we need to learn to embrace ourselves and love ourselves. So what if your edges are not straight? So, and everybody's hair doesn't grow out straight. People have different hair textures, and it's okay. It's all beautiful, however it grows out of your head. It's beautiful. If you want to press your hair, straighten your hair, then go for it. Go for it. I remember in the natural hair community, when natural hair began to become popular and more people began to embrace their natural hairstyles, I remember a lot of natural sisters were coming down on the straight hair sisters, on the sisters that had the relaxed or permed hair, and we too had to come out of that. I remember coming out of that, growing through that whole process of not berating sisters that were still relaxing their hair, because I had to understand that comes from years and years and years of us being traumatized about our hair. When you have mothers that are relaxing little girls' hair at the age of 3, that does something to a child, because you feel like all of your life, whether you know it or admit it, you begin to feel like you had to be altered at an early age because there was something that was not right and proper about you. So your parents felt like they had to alter your look, because that's what it is. You're altering your hair. And why do we have to do that? Because in America, natural hair was not viewed as acceptable. And on many jobs now, in corporate America, some people can't wear their locks or their afros. You can't do it. You have to come in there with your straight hair and your weave. And that's culture assassination. We shouldn't have to experience that. Featherlight, I know you had a story to share on colorism.
I do. There's this, speaking of models, actually she's an actress, but she's also a model. She's been on Vogue 3 times. She has received a Best Actress Award, Academy Award, Best Supporting Actress Academy Award for her role in 12 Years a Slave. She played the role of Patsy, who was the master's mistress. She did an excellent job in that. Her name is Lupita Amandi Nyong'o. She's 34 years old. She's born, she's Kenyan, but she was born in Mexico. She was raised in Kenya. She has Kenyan parents. And let's see. She was receiving an award, and she made this speech. She also received the SAG Award, Critics' Choice Award. I want to tell you all these things about her before I read this letter to show you how much she has accomplished, but what she had to overcome, because she's very dark. She's from Kenya. She's very dark, and, of course, she's beautiful, but she's beautiful inside as well as out. So this is a letter. This is her speech, rather. And she starts out saying, I received a letter from a girl, and I'd like to share just a small part of it with you. It reads, Dear Lupita, I think you're really lucky to be this black, but yet this successful in Hollywood overnight. I was just about to buy Denture's white bleaching cream when you appeared and saved me. Lupita goes on to say, my heart bled a little when I read those words. I could never have guessed my first job out of school would be so powerful in and of itself that it would propel me to be such an image of hope in the same way the color of purple were to me, the women of color of purple were to me. I remember a time when I, too, felt unbeautiful. I put on the TV, and I only saw pale skin. I got teased and taunted about my night-shaded skin. And my one prayer to God, the miracle worker, was that I would wake up light-skinned. The morning would come, and I would be so excited about seeing my new skin that I would refuse to look down at myself until I was in front of the mirror. I wanted to see my fair face first. And every day, I'd experience the same disappointment of being just as dark as I had been the day before. I tried to negotiate with God. I told him I would stop stealing sugar cubes at night if he gave me what I wanted. I would listen to my mother's every word and never lose my school sweater again if he just made me a little lighter. But I guess God was unimpressed with my bargaining chips because he never listened. And when I was a teenager, my self-hate grew worse. As you can imagine, it happens with adolescence. My mother reminded me often that she thought I was beautiful, but that was no consolation. She's my mother, and of course she's supposed to think I'm beautiful. And then Alec Weck came on the international scene, a celebrated model. She was dark as night. She was on all the runways and in all the magazines, and everyone was talking about how beautiful she was. Even Oprah called her beautiful, and that made it a fact. I couldn't believe that people were embracing a woman who looked so much like me as beautiful. My complexion had always been an obstacle to overcome. And all of a sudden, Oprah was telling me it wasn't. And I wanted to reject it because I want to enjoy the seduction of inadequacy. But a flower couldn't help but bloom inside me. When I saw Alec, I inadvertently saw a reflection of myself that I couldn't deny. I had a spring in my step, seen, more appreciated by the far-away gatekeepers of beauty. But around me, the preference for light skin prevailed. To the beholders that I thought mattered, I was still unbeautiful. And my mother again would say to me, "You can't eat beauty." And these words plagued and bothered me. I didn't really understand it until finally I realized that beauty was not a thing that I could acquire. It was something that I just had to be. And what my mother meant when she said, "You can't eat beauty," was that you can't rely on how you look to sustain you. What actually sustains us, what is fundamentally beautiful, is compassion for yourself and for those around you. That kind of beauty inflames the heart and enchants the soul. It is what got Patsy in so much trouble with her master, 12 years a slave. But it is also what has kept her story alive to this day. We remember the beauty of her spirit even after the beauty of her body has faded away. I hope that my presence on your screen and in magazines may lead you, young girl, on a similar journey, that you will know that there is no shame, that you will feel the validation of your external beauty, but also inside, and know that there is no shame in that beauty. Thank you. That was such a powerful. She's very dark, very intelligent, very beautiful inside, and I mean her inside beauty just like it grabs you. And when I listened to that speech, I thought about myself as a young girl, because I too was taunted. I was taunted because I was dark, and it hurt. It really hurt, because when I looked in the mirror, I would just say, "I'm not ugly. Mm-hmm. Why do they call me ugly? I'm not ugly. I'm just dark, you know." Mm-hmm. And I would see other children, and my sister was light. My sister was light. My mother was light. My father was very dark. I remember. I want people to know how this affects young girls. Mm-hmm. My mother is sort of a loner, like myself. She doesn't keep in touch with her friends. And I asked her when I was about 30, I said, "Mom, when was the last time you talked to Miss Ernestine?" And he said she never talks to her friends on the phone. And I just kind of wanted to know, she's keeping in touch with her friends. And so she says, "Yeah, I talked with her a few months ago." And I said, "Well, how is she doing?" She told me. And she said, "She asked about you." And I said, "She did?" Well, because it's been, moons since I'd seen her, and I felt good. I said, "She asked about me?" She says, "Yeah." She says, "How's that pretty one doing?" And I stopped. She said, "You talking about Lynn?" Because Lynn is my sister. She's the lighter one. And she said, "No, she was talking about you." I said, "But you said the pretty one. I didn't know she was talking about me." And she said, mm-hmm. She always referred to you as the dark, pretty one. And I was a grown person in my 30s, and it just hit me like a brick, because I had a flashback, and I thought, there was somebody back then when I was a little girl who who thought I was pretty, get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I argued with my mom. I said, no, she didn't. Yes, she did. No, she didn't. I just couldn't believe that somebody back then, when I was a little girl, thought I was pretty. I mean, my mom didn't tell me I was pretty. I mean, she just thought I knew. But I didn't get that. And like I said, it affected me. It really did.
Let's take a quick break and let's pick back up on colorism and your story, Featherlight. We'll be right back. You're tuned in to the Mind, Body, and Spirit Radio Show. We'll be right back after this break.
Make Black Talk Radio your choice for digital black radio. New black media for the new millennium.
All right, and we're back here at the Mind, Body, and Spirit Radio Show. Be sure to log on to the Black Talk Radio Network page so that you can tune in to all of the other shows that broadcast here on Black Talk Radio Network. And you can also donate to the Black Talk Media Project. And you can also sign up for BTR, the social media experience. So be sure you log on and support and donate to Black Talk Radio Network. Let's keep Black Talk Radio alive and kicking. We're talking about colorism here tonight. And Featherlight, you were speaking about how you found it incredulous to know that a person actually viewed you as being pretty, a pretty person, even though your skin tone was darker than your sister's. And you know what, now that I'm listening to you repeat this word, dark, dark, dark. And when we think of dark, we think of gloomy. We think of something unflattering. And I'm wondering if we could come up with a different lingo, a different term for dark, because dark has this, to me, it almost has this negative connotation to it now that I'm hearing it. And I wonder, could we say something like more melanated or something else, because it just almost now sounds like, again, it's just something that's gloomy. Or does that make sense? Does that sound a little weird? Am I going too in left field with this?
Well, it would be good to say more melanated, but how many people would actually, conscious people who really know, but, Lupita calls herself night skin.
Night?
Yeah, night. She's my night skin. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Also,
I saw this brother. I saw this brother the other day, and I mentioned this to you. His skin color was probably like a blue-black, like this Sudanese blue-black. And I stopped my car, and I just looked at him, and I said, your skin is so beautiful. I love your skin tone. And he was like, oh, thank you. And his teeth were so beautiful and white, contrasting that beautiful, beautiful blue-black skin tone. I said, man, oh, my goodness. We just come in so many beautiful shades. The lighter skin tones, the more melanated skin tones, the brown, the coffees. We come in so many skin tones, so many various shades, and it's beautiful. I think all of the shades are beautiful. We're just human beings. We're people.
Women together with all the variations of shades. It's such a beautiful sight. Beautiful sight.
Yeah, the myriad of skin tones. Yes, the myriad of skin tones. It's absolutely beautiful. And I hope that we can begin to embrace those skin tones. And for sisters that are more melanated, I hope that they begin to appreciate their skin tone, as well as sisters that the lighter skin tone sisters who also say that they experienced some name calling and being berated about their skin tone, being called not black enough. And we spoke briefly on the last Colorism show about the tragic mulatto, because you have a lot of biracial women who, in the I believe it was like the early 1800s, they fell into this category that was called the tragic mulatto. They were called the tragic mulatto because they would often end up committing suicide because they were so beautiful. They were considered so beautiful to so many people, not just the black brothers, but also white men as well. And they were often sexualized. And so they were sexualized, and then they were ostracized. So they had this inner battle going on, and many of them would commit suicide or have this tragic life. And so they were called the tragic mulattoes. Some people would say, like Dorothy Dandridge was like she lived the life of a tragic mulatto. Somebody like Halle Berry living the life of a tragic mulatto, constantly going through these relationships where men are using her. So our lighter skinned sisters, they also have a story to tell that we don't want to exclude from this whole topic of colorism. We want everybody to heal and be loved and love themselves. So it's not about just, let's make the dark-skinned sisters feel good. This is not what this is about. It's so deeper than that. Really it is. And that's why we said that we'll have to have continuous conversations on the topic of colorism. We have to continue discussing this topic. We cannot just do this in a show or two. This is an ongoing concern and issue in our community. Let me see. There's something else. Something else that I did want to share on colorism. I can get to it. Let me see. Brother Light, did you want to share anything else on your story?
When Lupita said when she saw Alex Wick, the blue-black model, she's blue-black. When she came on the scene when she was 18. She's from London, and she was just walking down the street. She's very tall, like 5'11", and someone just stopped her and said, "Have you ever thought of being a model?" And she just started stardom. So that was sort of Peter's saving grace, like, "Oh wow, she looks like me, and they're calling her beautiful." Well, when I transferred to a new school when I was a junior, I had to go to a totally new school, and it was very strange for me, and because I didn't know anybody in the neighborhood. And there was this one girl, and I will forever remember her name. Her name was Sugars, Sugars. I think that was her last name, but everybody calls her by her last name. She was darker than me, more melanated than me, and she was popular, and she was cute. And I just thought, wow, I was just like, wow, they like her. And she's got lots of friends, and she's popular, and wow, and it just kind of gave me some hope. You know, I was only 16, but it gave me hope that, okay, there are more melanated sisters out there, and they're making it, and they're making a name for themselves, and everybody doesn't think that they're ugly and la-la-la, and that was my sort of saving grace. Like, okay, mm-hmm. I can be that too, you know. So that was sort of like a turning point for me.
All right. Well, I know that when I was coming up, and I'm I guess right in between that paper bag test, I would not have been able to make it into Metropolitan Church or some of those institutions, whereas you had to be lighter than that paper bag, because I'm right at that paper bag. And I love my skin tone. I absolutely, positively love it. And so I didn't really experience growing up any type of, I didn't have to experience any type of comments about my skin tone being dark, or, you know, ooh, you so black. You know how people used to say, you so black. Ooh, she's so black. And I didn't have to experience any of that, but I do remember, and this is my story, and then we're going to move into our African spirit clip honoring Assata Shakur. I remember in the second grade, there was this little boy, one of my classmates, and he was from the continent. He was from the motherland. And I remember him being heavily melanated. And people used to call him African booty scratcher and juju. And, I mean, it was just horrible. It was, African booty scratcher. If you were, like, really dark, people would call you African booty scratcher, juju, and all kinds of just horrible names. And I remember people taunting this little boy, and he would often have accidents at school, like urinate on himself, because people would chastise him and make fun of him because of his skin color. And at 45 years of age today, I still remember that, and I think about how that affected that little boy, because nobody wanted to be his friend because he was so dark. So I hope that he grew up to be a well-rounded, happy young man, despite how cruel we were to him in the second grade. I certainly do. In the second grade, girl, just horrible. It was the boys. It was not the girls. We didn't taunt him like that, primarily the boys. But, you know, that's what he would need. He would need his male counterparts to be there as friends and support him. And nobody was there for this little boy. Because at that time, we're talking like, 75, 76, something like that. We didn't have this influx of people from the motherland here like we have now. So he was like a rarity. Yeah, he was like the lone little African boy in school. And, you know, at that time, we hated Africa. We was like, oh, they poor, they starving, they have flies in their eyes, they don't have any money, they slaves, they just, you know, we were ignorant about Africa. So, oh, my God, we'll have to pick back up on colorism again. Like we said, we'll continue to discuss this topic. But right now, we need to move on in to our African spirit clip. And we're honoring Assata Shakur.
They attack people on all kinds of levels. I was one of the people who was targeted by COINTELPRO, but there were many others. As a member of the Black Panther Party in New York City, I witnessed 21 of our most effective, most articulate organizers and leaders be victimized by a conspiracy charge. They were charged with conspiracy, and the charges were insane. They were charged with conspiracy to blow up department stores. They were charged with conspiracy to blow up subways. And one of the most insane charges was conspiracy to blow up the Bronx Botanical Gardens, and nobody could ever figure out, you know, why anybody would want to blow up flowers. That certainly was not part of our political program and platform. But however, they were put into prison for, most of them spent 2 years, more than 2 years in prison. Each was given $100,000 bail. And what that did was to limit our effectiveness in organizing in our communities and make us have to spend a lot of our time, energy, and resources liberating our comrades instead of being able to effectively organize in our communities. I believe personally that COINTELPRO is still going on. under another name and a much more sophisticated, much more dangerous type of COINTELPRO. So we could never think that that was an era that was in history. The United States government has not changed. In fact, I think it has become more repressive. The number of people in prisons, I think, backs me up. The number of people that are killed by police backs me up. The number of names on computers backs me up. And the fact that Jesse Helms is on the Senate floor talking about arresting people for coming to a youth festival backs me up. So I think that as time goes on, it's more and more obvious that repression is one of the most frequent tools used by the United States government to smash anybody who is fighting for real justice, for real liberty, and for real freedom in the United States. In my case, I was targeted, as I said before, by COINTELPRO, and I was forced to go underground. I was forced to disappear. The police knocked down my door, took everything. I mean, they took my posters, my books, my records, my underwear, and I was, I don't know what they were looking for in my underwear, but they took everything as so-called evidence, and they tried to accuse me of aiding and abetting harboring fugitives. I decided that there were two choices. Either I could talk to the FBI and cooperate with the FBI, or I could disappear. At that time, I considered cooperating with the FBI an unprincipled act, because I thought, and I still think, that the FBI is not a tool to protect people. It is an instrument of repression, and specifically instrument of repression that targets people of color, oppressed people, and specifically African people who are oppressed in the United States. So I thought that cooperating would be immoral, and I decided to disappear. I decided to go underground, and at the time I was very innocent. I thought, well, all they're looking for me for is aiding and abetting harboring fugitives. It was a lie. They never continued that charge. They never made that charge formal, but I thought, well, this is going to roll over. This is a passing moment. But I was very mistaken. What happened was that the FBI and the New York City Police Department, their Red Squad, began to systematically feed news stories to the Daily News, to all of the New York City and national newspapers, creating this image of this woman that is this terrible person, that is this criminal, that is this murderer, that is this bank robber, that is this terrorist. And what they did was they took a photograph of a woman robbing a bank. They put my name under wanted, and they put that picture everywhere, in every bank, on the side of buses, on big posters like this, on the subway, everywhere. And what they were doing was creating the condition where any cop in the United States could shoot me down, had a license, I was like dead meat. And they came out and said, if we see her, we will kill her. And it wasn't just me. They did the same thing to many many other people, and some of those other people are still in prison. In May 2nd, 1973, I was shot once with my hands in the air, shot once in the back. I was left on the ground and to die. And they kept coming back and saying, "Is she dead yet? Is she dead yet?" Finally, when it was obvious that I was not going to die right then, I was taken to a hospital where I was chained to a bed. I was beaten, tortured, kept incommunicado for 4 or 5 days. It seemed like 100. I was denied any right to see lawyers, to see anybody. My aunt, Evelyn Williams, who is also my lawyer, finally got a court order to come to see me, and since I could not tell her the extent of what was happening, I told her, please do something, because I was accused of
All right, and that was Queen Mother, Sister Assata Shakur, who is in Cuba now. And from my understanding, she's had to go back into hiding now that the U.S. has asked Cuba to surrender her. Assata Alugbala Shakur was born Joanne Deborah Byron. We know her by her married name, Chesimar, but more famously known as Assata Shakur, black activist, member of the BLA, Black Liberation Army. And that was just a short clip on her speaking about her experience being under this police state. So we honor you, Queen Mother Assata Shakur. We honor you with the Mind, Body, and Spirit African Spirit Award tonight. And so we need to get ready to close out. So Featherlight, close us out with a little breathing. Take us out. Take it to the bridge.
All right. For a little R&R, relax and release. Just take a deep breath. Breathe in from your belly. Always breathe in from your stomach. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Raise your shoulders and feel that they're not tense. Soft. Okay. Just release all that stuff that's in your head right now. Just breathe and just relax. Breathe, relax, go within, listen to whatever your higher self has to say to you. That's what we need to do sometimes. Breathe in through your nose, cool air, and warm air through your mouth. And just relax. The deeper you inhale, the stronger your connection is to your higher self. And the more you exhale, the more you release toxins and carbon dioxide that is harmful to your body. So keep that in mind as you're breathing. Remember that short, shallow breaths are just shortening your life. So breathe. Take it easy. Relax. Namaste.
Thank you. Peace and good night. Namaste. Have a prosperous week.